My name is Natalie Rowe, and I'm 35 years old. I didn't know my relationship was already ending when he sent the photo. It didn't come with yelling. It didn't come with an argument. It didn't even come with words spoken out loud. Just an image, delivered at exactly the right moment to do maximum damage. His birthday was last Friday. I'd spent weeks planning it, which probably sounds embarrassing now, but at the time it felt intentional. Like effort still meant something. Like after 4 years together, showing care wasn't naive, it was necessary. Months earlier, he'd casually mentioned a vintage watch he liked, not luxury brand flashy, about $1,500. Rare enough that finding one in good condition would take work. I remembered the exact way he'd said it, half distracted, scrolling on his phone, but with just enough interest that I filed it away. So I hunted it down. 3 states away, a collector. Authentication papers, serviced, cleaned, restored. I wrapped it myself because he once said store wrapping felt lazy, like an afterthought. Thursday night, I gave it to him at dinner. A place downtown he liked. Nothing dramatic, just familiar, comfortable. The kind of restaurant couples go to when they assume they still know each other. He opened the box, looked at the watch. "Oh," he said, "that's nice." Then he closed the box. Didn't try it on. Didn't ask where I found it. Didn't ask how long it took. Just set it aside and ordered his appetizer. I told myself he was tired. Work stress. Long week. Anything except the truth sitting quietly between us. Saturday afternoon, I was at my apartment working when my phone buzzed. A text from him. Just a photo. No explanation needed. The watch box, unopened, sitting on top of a public trash can. The caption underneath. "This is where your effort belongs." I stared at it for a long time. The wrapping, the box, the care. All photographed deliberately. Framed, sent. That was when it hit me. This wasn't impulse. This was intentional cruelty. I saved the photo. Then I replied with one word. "Understood." He responded immediately. Laughing emojis. Then, finally getting it. I didn't answer. I closed the conversation, opened my laptop, and started making decisions. Because love doesn't look like contempt. And I was done pretending otherwise. I didn't cry after the photo. Not right away. That came later, at 3 in the morning, when my brain finally stopped trying to translate cruelty into something softer. When it stopped bargaining. When it stopped telling me, maybe he didn't mean it like that. But in the moment, on that Saturday afternoon, I felt something colder. Clarity. The kind that doesn't scream or throw things. The kind that simply starts rearranging your life in its head. Quietly, efficiently, like a woman packing up a home while the other person still thinks the argument is part of a game. I stared at the photo one last time. The watch box, unopened. The trash. The caption, sharp as a blade. And I realized the most important part wasn't that he threw it away. It was that he took a picture first. He wanted me to see it. He wanted me to feel small. He wanted me to react, to beg, to argue, to prove I was worthy of a different outcome. And something in me snapped into place. I wasn't going to give him the reaction he'd planned for. I was going to give him consequences. I opened my laptop and pulled up our shared cell account. We'd been on a joint plan for 2 years, both lines under my name because I'd already had the account before we met. When his phone died one day and he complained about not wanting to deal with paperwork, I'd added him. It was easier. That's what I told myself. I clicked support. Dialed. The representative answered with that bright, practiced cheerfulness that always sounded like someone smiling through a script. "Thank you for calling. How can I help you today?" I kept my voice calm. "I need to separate a line from my plan," I said. "Keep the number active, but move it to its own account." There was a pause. Keyboard clicks. "Yes, we can do that. The line will remain active with the same phone number, but the billing responsibility will transfer. We'll send an email to the line owner to set up payment." "Effective immediately?" I asked. "Yes. They'll have a grace period, but the changes take effect right away." I exhaled slowly. "Perfect," I said. "Please process it." I didn't feel vindictive. I felt clean, like I was finally cutting away something infected. When I ended the call, I stared at the ceiling for a moment, half expecting guilt to crash into me. It didn't. Because why should I pay for someone who thought my effort belonged in a trash can? I got up and walked to the drawer where I kept important documents. It wasn't a romantic drawer. It was the drawer of reality. Warranties, passports, birth certificates, insurance, the stuff you touch when life stops being soft. And there it was. His passport. He'd left it at my place after our last trip, 6 months ago. I'd reminded him more times than I could count. "Hey, don't forget your passport." "I will." I'm serious. It's important. Yeah, later. It became one of those things I stored for him, the way I stored so many things. His spare charger, his hoodie, his extra shoes. Pieces of his life left in my space because my space was convenient. I held the passport in my hand and felt the weight of it, not physically, but symbolically. Because suddenly, I understood something about him I hadn't wanted to admit. He didn't value effort. He valued comfort, and I had been his comfort. I picked up my phone and called my older brother, Ethan. He lived 4 hours away in a different city. He ran a small logistics business and had a P.O. box because packages got stolen from his building all the time. He answered on the second ring. "What's up, Nat?" "I need a favor," I said. His voice shifted instantly, protective, alert. "You okay?" "Getting there," I said, and I meant it. "I'm going to mail something to your P.O. box. When it arrives, just hold on to it. Don't mention it to anyone." Ethan paused. "What is it?" "A passport," I said. "What? Whose?" "His," I said, and I didn't have to say the name. Ethan knew who he was. 4 years of family events, holidays, polite dinners, with a man who always smiled like he was doing us all a favor by showing up. Ethan's silence stretched. "Natalie, that sounds messy." "It is," I said, "but I need it somewhere safe, somewhere he can't just show up and demand it." "You two fighting?" I laughed once, sharp and humorless. "He sent me a photo of his birthday gift in the trash," I said quietly, unopened, with a caption saying that's where my effort belongs. Ethan went quiet again. Then his voice dropped low. "What the hell?" "Yeah. You want me to drive down there?" he asked immediately. "No," I said, "not yet. I'm handling it." A pause. Then, "Okay, send it. I'll hold it." "Thanks," I said. And even though it was only one word, it almost broke me, because it was the first thing that felt like support all weekend. I hung up, slid the passport into a padded envelope, addressed it carefully, and drove to the post office like I was running an errand. Priority mail. Tracking included. It would arrive in 2 days. When I got home, my apartment felt too quiet. Not lonely, just newly mine. I put my keys in the bowl by the door, set my phone on the counter, and waited, because I knew he would call. And I knew it wouldn't be an apology. It would be an attempt to rewrite reality. Sunday morning, right on time, my phone lit up with his name. I stared at it for a moment before answering. Not because I was scared, because I wanted to hear exactly how he planned to explain away cruelty like it was a misunderstanding. I swiped to accept. "Hey," he said, voice smooth, almost casual, like he was calling to confirm dinner plans. "We need to talk," he added. I looked at the saved photo on my phone screen again. The trash. The caption. The intent. "I thought you made things pretty clear yesterday," I said. A sigh performed, patient. "That was just me being frustrated," he said. "I had a bad day." I let that sit for a beat. "So you threw away the gift I spent weeks finding because you had a bad day?" "I didn't actually throw it away," he said quickly. "I just took the photo to make a point." I felt my jaw tighten. "What point?" I asked. "That you don't actually know me," he said. And there it was, delivered like a verdict. "You got me a watch I mentioned once months ago. That's not thoughtful, Natalie. That's you checking a box." My stomach turned, not because his words hurt, but because they were so calculated. "I spent weeks finding that specific watch," I said evenly. "Had it authenticated, serviced, cleaned. That's not a box. That's effort." "And it still wasn't what I wanted," he said. I blinked slowly. "You literally told me you wanted that watch." "I said I thought it was nice," he corrected, smug. "That's not the same as wanting it." I could feel the conversation tilting into something familiar. The reality I lived, being rewritten in real time. "This is insane," I said quietly. "You're rewriting history to justify humiliating me." "You're being dramatic," he snapped. I didn't raise my voice. "I'm being accurate," I said. "You wanted to hurt me. You succeeded. Message received." There was a beat of silence, like he hadn't expected that. Then softer. "So what now?" "Now." The words sat between us like a doorway. Now was the part where he expected me to chase, to fix, to beg him to come back into the relationship and stop punishing me. I didn't. "Now nothing," I said. "What?" His tone sharpened. "Natalie, are you serious? You're ending 4 years over one fight?" I smiled, but it didn't reach anywhere warm. "No," I said. "I'm acknowledging that you already ended it." He scoffed. "That's not true." "Then explain the photo," I said. "Explain why someone who loves their partner photographs their gift in the trash and captions it like a humiliation ritual." Silence. Not confusion. Not regret. Just silence. The kind that happens when someone is caught standing in their true self. I breathed out slowly. "That's what I thought," I said. "We're done." "Wait," he started, the first crack of panic slipping in. I hung up, and my phone started ringing again instantly. I declined. Again. Declined. Then the text came in rapid fire. We need to talk. You can't just do this. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. Call me back. I muted the thread. Then I stood in the middle of my living room, staring at the quiet. And I realized something terrifying. I wasn't heartbroken yet. I was relieved. Because once you see contempt clearly, you can't unsee it. And once you stop begging someone to treat you well, you start remembering what self-respect feels like. The first time he showed up at my apartment, I didn't open the door. I was home, lights on, shoes by the door. I watched his car pull into my parking spot from the living room window like I was observing a stranger arrive at someone else's life. He knocked once. Then again, harder. I didn't move. My phone buzzed. Him. I know you're home. Let me in. We need to talk. I set the phone down on the counter and waited. Another knock. Louder. More insistent. The kind of knock meant to signal authority, not request permission. When my phone rang, I declined the call without hesitation. A second later, another text. Him. You can't ignore me forever. I picked up my phone, typed carefully, deliberately. Me. I can ignore you for as long as I want. That's how being broken up works. 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Then, him. We're not broken up. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed, heart steady in a way that surprised me. Me. We are. I'm just saving you the trouble of actually saying it out loud. The knocking stopped. Instead, the buzzing of my phone intensified. Him. I want to get my stuff. I almost laughed. Me. What stuff? That one took longer. Him. My clothes, my things, the stuff I left there. I looked around my apartment. The sweater draped over the chair, the extra shoes by the door, the books on my shelf that weren't mine. 4 years of accumulation disguised as intimacy. Me. I'll box it up. You can pick it up next week. Him. I want to talk to you face to face. Me. I don't want to talk to you face to face. Him. This is childish. I paused before responding. Not because I didn't know what to say. Because I wanted it to land cleanly. Me. This is self-preservation. He didn't reply after that. I watched from the window as he stood by his car for a few moments, hands on his hips, pacing slightly, like a man trying to decide which tactic would work best. Then he drove away. My hands shook only after he was gone. Not from fear. From the delayed release of adrenaline, my body catching up to the reality that I'd just done something irreversible. Thursday morning, I started boxing up his things. I didn't rush. I didn't dramatize it. I moved methodically, like I was inventorying a life that no longer belonged in my space. Clothes folded neatly, toiletries sealed in a zip bag, books stacked, random chargers, a hoodie, the coffee mug he always used. Each item was proof of how much room he'd taken up, and how easily he'd devalued it. It took 2 hours. When I finished, the boxes were stacked neatly by my front door. I took a photo, not for spite, not for leverage, just documentation. Then I texted him. Me. Your stuff is ready. Let me know when you want to pick it up. I won't be here. The phone rang immediately. This time I answered. Put it on speaker while I poured myself coffee. Why are you doing this? He demanded. Doing what? I asked calmly. Acting like I'm a stranger. I stirred the coffee slowly. You threw my gift in the trash and photographed it to hurt me, I said. That's not how you treat someone you love, so clearly we're not what I thought we were. I apologize, he said quickly. You apologize because you didn't like my reaction, I replied. Not because you understood why what you did was cruel. That's not fair. It's accurate. There was a pause, then his tone softened, strategic. I was just upset about work, he said. I took it out on you. Cool, I said. And I'm upset about being treated like garbage. So I'm removing myself from the situation. So that's it? He snapped. 4 years and you're just done? I took a sip of coffee. 4 years of what? I asked. Apparently 4 years of me not knowing you, according to you. 4 years of effort you consider worthless. Silence. Then quieter. I never said I didn't love you. I smiled faintly. You didn't have to, I said. The photo said it for you. That's when he finally said it. What about my passport? There it was. The first crack. I left it at your place, he said. I need it. Did you? I asked evenly. You know I did. Where is it? He pressed. Somewhere safe. That's my property, he snapped. You can't keep it. I'm not keeping it, I corrected. I'm storing it. You left it here months ago. Clearly didn't need it urgently. That's theft. It's not, I said. It's your property that you abandoned at my residence. I'm being a responsible custodian. You're being vindictive. I set my mug down. I'm being exactly as considerate as you taught me to be, I said softly. Remember? This is where your effort belongs. He inhaled sharply. I have a work trip next month, he said. I need it. Then you should have kept better track of it. He hung up. I didn't feel victorious. I felt steady, because something had shifted. For the first time since I met him, he wasn't controlling the narrative. He wasn't dictating the pace. He wasn't deciding when the conversation happened or how it ended. I was, and he didn't like it, which told me everything I needed to know. Friday morning, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail. Something told me not to. I answered. Hello? There was a brief pause, then a woman's voice, measured, controlled, carrying the unmistakable tone of someone who believed she was calling to fix something. Hi, Natalie, this is Marilyn. I'm his mother. Of course it was. I closed my eyes for a second, not out of fear, but exhaustion. This was the move I'd been expecting. When he couldn't regain control directly, he outsourced it. With all due respect, she continued, I think we need to talk about what's happening. I leaned back against my kitchen counter. With all due respect, I replied calmly, this is between your son and me. She's very upset, Marilyn said, ignoring my boundary completely. She says you're keeping her passport hostage. I almost laughed at the wording. I'm not keeping anything hostage, I said evenly. I'm storing his property safely while we sort out the end of our relationship. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. He needs that passport, she said. This seems excessive, especially over a birthday present. That word again. Present. Like this was about an object. Did he tell you what he did with the birthday present? I asked. Another pause. He said you had a disagreement about it. I nodded to myself. He photographed it in a public trash can, I said, unopened, and texted it to me with a caption saying that's where my effort belongs. Silence. Not polite silence. Real silence. The kind that means the story has just changed shape. He did that? Marilyn asked slowly. Yes, I said. And I still have the photo, if you'd like to see it. There was a long exhale on the other end. That's not okay, she said finally. No, I agreed. It's not. So you understand, I continued gently, why I'm removing myself from a situation where I'm treated with contempt, and why I'm not making things convenient until there's an actual conversation about respect. She hesitated. I still think this is petty, she said. I didn't argue. It probably is, I admitted, but I've spent 4 years being the bigger person while my effort was quietly devalued. I'm done doing that. Another pause. I'll talk to him, she said finally. I hope you do, I replied. She hung up. 10 minutes later, my phone rang again. A different number. I answered without greeting. Did you really show my mother the photo? He demanded. She asked what happened, I said calmly. I clarified. You had no right, he snapped. I had every right, I replied. She called me to accuse me of holding your passport hostage. I provided context. She's furious at me now. Good, I said. Maybe she'll help you understand why what you did was wrong. I need my passport, he said sharply. And I need a real apology, I replied. Not an I'm sorry you're upset, a real one. I already apologized. No, I said. You apologized because you didn't like the consequences. That's not the same thing. There was a beat. Then, stiffly, fine. I'm sorry I sent the photo. I'm sorry I threw away the watch. I'm sorry I hurt you. I waited. That's it? He asked. No, I said. Explain why you did it. What? Explain why you took the photo, I said. Why you sent it. What you were hoping would happen. Silence. Longer this time. That's what I thought, I said quietly. You don't actually know, or you don't want to say it out loud. Where is my passport? He demanded. Somewhere you can't get it without talking to me face to face, I replied. This is insane. This is consequences, I said. You wanted to play games. This is the game now. I'll call the police. And tell them what? I asked calmly. That you left your passport at my place 6 months ago and now want it back? They'll tell you it's a civil matter. This is manipulative, he snapped. This is self-protection, I corrected. Big difference. I hung up. My hands were steady, my breathing even. Because now, finally, he was being forced to confront something he'd spent years avoiding. Accountability. And he was unraveling under the weight of it. Saturday morning, he texted. Fine, let's meet. No apology, no warmth, just compliance, begrudging and brittle. I suggested a coffee shop halfway between our places. Public, neutral, daylight pouring through big windows, where lies felt louder and tempers had witnesses. I arrived first. Chose a corner table with my back to the wall, old habit, ordered black coffee, sat upright, calm, prepared. When he walked in 10 minutes late, I almost didn't recognize him. Not because he looked different, because I finally saw him without the filter of affection. He looked tired, irritated, entitled to my attention despite everything. He didn't order anything, just dropped into the chair across from me. Where's my passport? He asked immediately. I took a slow sip of coffee. Hello to you too. I don't have time for this, he snapped. I have a work trip in 3 weeks. 3 weeks is plenty of time, I said evenly. First, we talk. About what? He scoffed. About why you did what you did, I replied. The photo, the trash, the caption. I want to understand. He leaned back, arms crossed, eyes hard. I was angry. About what? I asked. He exhaled sharply, like the question annoyed him. About everything, he said. About you being complacent. About you thinking a watch you mentioned once was enough effort. About you not actually knowing me after 4 years. I nodded slowly. I didn't know you wanted a different gift, I said. You told me you wanted that watch. I wanted you to surprise me, he snapped. To show you actually pay attention to who I am, not just check off things I've said. I set my cup down carefully. So you want me to read your mind, I said calmly. To ignore what you explicitly tell me, guess what you secretly want instead, and deliver it perfectly. That's not what I'm saying, he said. It is, I replied, and it's an impossible standard. Other women get that from their girlfriends, he shot back, then stopped himself. I tilted my head slightly. From who? I asked. He looked away. No one specific. Try again, I said softly. His jaw tightened. There's someone at work, he admitted. There it was. The truth, finally stepping into the light. A woman, I said. Yes, he muttered. I felt something settle in my chest. Not pain, not surprise. Confirmation. So that's what this is about, I said. Not the watch, not my effort. You've been comparing me to someone else. It's not like that. Then explain it to me, I said. Because from where I'm sitting, you developed feelings for a coworker, started rewriting our history to justify it, and used my birthday gift as an excuse to detonate our relationship. He stood abruptly, chair scraping the floor. This was a mistake, he said. Just give me my passport. Sit down, I said quietly. He hesitated, then sat. We're not done, I continued. You don't get to humiliate me, avoid accountability, and then walk away with clean hands. You're never going to understand, he snapped. Try me, I said. Explain why you thought cruelty was easier than honesty. His voice dropped. Because admitting I had feelings for someone else made me feel like the bad guy, he said. And if I made you the problem, I wouldn't have to feel guilty. There it was. Raw, ugly, real. I nodded once. Thank you, I said. That's the first honest thing you've said in weeks. He swallowed. So where's my passport? Here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm keeping it for 1 more week. That's insane. It's clarity, I replied. In that week, you're going to decide what you want. Not out of fear, not out of convenience. If it's her, tell me. Be honest. We end this cleanly. And if it's you? He asked quietly. Then you show up differently, I said. No comparisons, no games, no cruelty. You can't dictate terms. I met his eyes. Watch me. I stood, grabbed my bag. You wanted consequences, I said. These are them. I walked out without looking back. And for the first time since that photo arrived on my phone, I felt something like peace. Because the truth had finally been spoken, and it couldn't be unsaid. He called me 3 days later. Tuesday evening, just after 8. I watched the phone ring for a full 5 seconds before answering. Not to punish him, not to assert control, but to make sure I was steady enough to hear the truth without trying to reshape it. Hey, he said. His voice sounded smaller, quieter, like someone calling from the edge of a decision they didn't want to own. I've been thinking, he continued, and you were right, about some of it. I stayed silent. I have been comparing you to her, he admitted. I built up this idea that maybe there was something better out there, and I used the watch as an excuse to pick a fight. I closed my eyes. Why? I asked, not angrily, not accusingly, just factually. Because it felt safer, he said. If I made you the bad guy, I wouldn't have to feel guilty about wanting to leave. The words landed heavily, but they landed clean. Do you want to leave? I asked. A long pause. I don't know, he said. I'm confused. I exhaled slowly. Then let me make it simple, I said. Pick her or pick me. But you don't get both. You don't get to keep me as a backup while you explore a fantasy. That's not fair, he said weakly. Life isn't fair, I replied, but those are your options. Silence stretched between us, longer this time. Then, quietly, I pick her, or at least, I pick seeing what happens with her. My chest tightened, but only briefly. Okay, I said, thank you for being honest. Can I have my passport now? He asked. Yes, I said. It's at my brother's P.O. box. 4 hours away. I'll text you the address. What? His voice spiked. Why did you send it there? Because I needed time, I said, and I needed this conversation to happen before I gave it back. That's manipulative. That's strategic, I corrected. There's a difference. Who's there? He asked. At your brother's? My brother and his wife, I said. They're expecting you. There was a sharp inhale. They know everything, I added calmly. The photo, the trash, the coworker. You told them? He snapped. You're humiliating me. No, I said. I'm making sure there are witnesses to the truth, so this doesn't get rewritten later. He hung up. 2 days later, my brother texted me. She's here. Looks miserable. You sure about this? Yes, I replied. Give her the passport. Let her leave. She tried to explain, he added. We weren't interested. I smiled faintly at my phone. You okay? He asked. Getting there, I wrote back. That was 6 weeks ago. I haven't heard from him since. Mutual friends say he's dating the coworker now. Apparently, it's not going well. Turns out she's less intriguing once she's available and expects consistency instead of fantasy. As for me, I started therapy. Started dating casually, on my terms. Sold the watch on a collector forum and got back most of what I paid. I used the money to take myself on a solo trip, my first vacation alone in years. It was quiet, peaceful, clarifying. Sometimes I think about that photo, the watch box in the trash, the caption meant to shrink me, and I'm grateful he sent it, because it was undeniable. No ambiguity, no gaslighting, no, maybe I misunderstood. Just documented cruelty. The passport thing was petty, I'll admit that. But it got me what I needed, a face-to-face conversation where he had to say the truth out loud, where he had to admit that I wasn't the problem, his wandering attention was. My brother asked me last week if I regretted how I handled it. No, I said. She wanted to play games. I just played better. That's cold, he said. No, I replied. That's self-preservation. I didn't do any of it for revenge. I did it to protect myself, to force honesty, to walk away with my dignity intact. He got what he wanted, freedom, novelty, a new story. I got what I needed, truth, closure, and the certainty that I will never again beg someone to value my effort. We both moved on, just not the way he expected.